Okay, let's unpack this one. A bit of an unexpected collision of worlds today on the deep dive.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
plunging right into Fat, Juicy, and Wet, that collaboration pairing Sexy Red with Bruno Mars.
And we've got some pretty good material to work with here. You know, our main sources are the official music video transcript. That's from Sexy Red's YouTube channel.
Right.
And then we've got the detailed breakdown lyrics, background info, all that from Genius Lyrics.
Exactly. So our mission for you listening is, well, pretty straightforward. Trying to understand what actually sparked this pairing and, what its initial splash told us. What impact did it have right off the bat?
So yeah, where does something like this even begin? I mean, the origin story itself is kind of interesting, gives us some clues.
It really does. Genius points to January 21st, 2025.
Yeah.
That's when Bruno Mars apparently went on Instagram pretty publicly saying he wanted to work with Sexy Red. And he was specific. He wanted to make a, quote, strip club anthem. This was like right after his duet with Lady Gaga, Die With a Smile, had hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah, see, that's fascinating. Not just the interest, but how specific he was. A strip club anthem.
Right.
He wasn't just saying, hey, let's collab. He had a type of song in mind. He kind of suggests he saw something particular in her style, maybe. Something he wanted to tap into.
That's a great point. Like, what does it signal when someone known for really polished pop actively goes looking to make that kind of track?
Exactly. And apparently Sexy Red was quick to respond. Positive reaction on Twitter, same day.
Yeah, and then this is the kicker. The very next day, Mars was already previewing the track on his Instagram.
Wow. Okay.
That's some serious speed, some momentum there.
It really speaks to, like, mutual excitement, maybe. Or just a really clear, immediate creative spark.
Yeah.
You know, to go from public interest to a preview that fast.
Definitely dynamic.
Oh.
Okay, all right, let's dive into the track itself. The title, Fat, Juicy, and Wet.
Yeah. It's about as unambiguous as you can get, isn't it?
Pretty much.
That directness, it just tells you immediately what the song's about.
Yeah.
No room for guessing the subject matter. Sets a very upfront and explicit tone right away.
Absolutely. And the lyrics, yeah, especially Sexy Red's verses, they just run with it. We get these incredibly explicit descriptions, lines like, pussy like weed, pussy like dope, and 24 karat pussy drip like gold.
These lines definitely grab your attention. What's interesting is the way they're delivered. You know, it's confident, almost celebratory, very direct, very unashamed kind of expression.
Zero holding back. And then you get these really suggestive actions spelled out. Things like slob on my clit, suck on my toes, and throw my legs back, eat my booty from the front. It's certainly explicit.
Right. And that repetition, like, you ain't never had punani like this. It reinforces this sense of, like, exceptional quality desirability. That's pretty common in this stuff.
Yeah.
And the language is playful, but also really assertive, calling herself a badass bitch. And that line about a coochie water autograph signed Sexy Red, it really builds this this bold persona.
Okay, now, Bruno Mars's chorus. It keeps hammering that central theme, repeating, fat, juicy, and wet. But then there's that line that jumps out, pussy so good, make me throw up a set.
That line is quite vivid, isn't it? Throw up a set. It's slang, right? Often for gang signs.
Yeah.
So using it here as a metaphor for pleasure that's just like overwhelming, almost disorienting. It's a really surprising image. Memorable.
Definitely memorable. And that possessive bit, make it my pet, adds to that idea of captivating power.
Emphasizes the effect.
And we can't skip the outro. It's just a direct command, basically. You better arch your back, put your ass into it.
Yeah.
Very clear, final instruction.
It really drives home the active participatory nature of what's being described. It's not passive. It's a direct call to action.
Right.
For the listener, or, well, the implied subject of the song anyway.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. The music itself. First time Sexy Red and Bruno Mars worked together, obviously.
Right.
And Genius credits Bruno Mars and the Stereotypes as the producers. That's an interesting mix on paper.
It is, yeah. Bruno Mars, you think polished pop, R&B, funk influences. The Stereotypes, they've got a pretty diverse production background, too, across R&B and hip-hop.
So maybe a fusion there.
Could be. You might expect some of that Mars smoothness, maybe layered with a more contemporary hip-hop or R&B edge from the Stereotypes. That's the potential, anyway.
And the writing credit's also pretty extensive. Sexy Red, Bruno Mars, Cum Parker, Jeremy Reeves, Jonathan Yip, Ray Romulus. Quite a few names involved, plus a list of instrumentalists, engineers. It really highlights that it was a big collaborative effort, you know?
Exactly. Even if the lyrics seem very direct, maybe simple on the surface, actually crafting the whole sound, the production, that takes a whole team, everyone bringing their skills.
So how did it actually land when it dropped? Fat, Juicy, and Wet came out January 24th, 2025. And Genius notes it pulled in over 781,000 online views pretty much immediately. That feels like a significant initial buzz.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That immediate viewership, it signals a high level of curiosity, really. People wanted to know what this sounded like. That unexpected pairing, Sexy Red's rising star, Bruno Mars's huge established fame, that was clearly a big draw.
And looking at the charts, right, so it peaked at number 48 on the official singles chart, just for 1 week. But it hit the top 10 on U.S. Apple Music, number 9.
Yeah, and debuted at number 17 on one of the main tracking weeks, ending February 8th.
So number 48 peak maybe doesn't scream massive hit on that specific chart.
But you got to look at the context, right? For Bruno Mars, Genius says this was his 35th song on that chart. Shows he's consistently there. And for Sexy Red, it was her 8th. So that shows her audience is definitely growing, expanding reach. And that top 10 on Apple Music suggests strong initial downloads, strong interest from the streaming audience.
And like we said, this came right after Bruno Mars had that huge number 1 with Die With a Smile.
Really?
So this was a very deliberate turn, a real departure in terms of, well, everything. Tone, lyrics.
Precisely. It shows Mars was willing to explore really different territory, sonically, thematically, even right after a big mainstream hit. Makes you wonder, what motivates that kind of move into such explicit stuff.
Now, thinking about that music video transcript we have, it really just mirrors the lyrics, doesn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
You've got the repetitive chorus, those verses just hammering the main theme. Very direct, very explicit language all the way through.
And the transcript also picks up on those energetic instructions, like do it sexy.
Yeah.
You can just imagine how that translates visually, right? Specific moves, reaction.
Totally. The focus on physical movement, physical reactions, it's clearly central to how the song is presented visually, too. And finally, let's touch on those genres and influences tagged on Genius. It's quite a list.
It really is.
Pop rap, dance pop, Midwest rap that makes sense for Sexy Red, Hawaiian. Okay. In English, chipmunk soul, hyphy, dance, hip hop, pop rap again.
That mix is wild, isn't it? It really shows the genre bending thing. Midwest rap points to her roots, dance pop, hip hop, that's the broader sound.
And it samples Juicy Fruit by Sume.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. Sampling a classic, well-known R&B track like Juicy Fruit, it probably provides this familiar, maybe nostalgic kind of groove underneath everything.
It creates a contrast, maybe.
Exactly, a contrast between that like old-school R&B feel and these super contemporary, explicit lyrics. It's an intriguing mix.
Okay, so pulling this all together, this deep dive into Fat, Juicy, and Wet, it really paints a picture of a very deliberate collaboration, right? Designed to grab attention.
Absolutely.
You've got the explicit lyrics, the kind of surprising artist pairing, the initial chart reactions. It all points to a track meant to make a statement, turn some heads.
For sure. The unapologetic nature of it all, combined with these two very distinct artistic personalities, it created this juxtaposition, thematically and sonically, that definitely fueled the conversation around it.
So maybe here's a final thought for you listening to mull over. How does that sheer explicitness, especially placed against Bruno Mars's huge pop fame and Sexy Red's rising hip-hop profile, how does that contribute to our understanding of maybe shifting boundaries in mainstream music today?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And what could a collaboration like this signify? About future pairings, about the kind of content that cuts through and resonates right now.
It definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? About, the changing landscape of pop culture. Maybe artists feeling more willing to push those boundaries, explore unexpected creative avenues. Makes you wonder what's next.